Hi, I'm Paul, the running shoe guru. This is Marathon Handbook, and this is the new Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro. And what an amazing shoe it is. It's great to see Mizuno think outside the box a little bit when it comes to racing shoes and come up with something that looks and actually performs very differently. So what have we got here? It's a road racing shoe. It's built for distances up to the marathon distance. Comes in at £200 in the UK and approximately $250 in the US. At the time of recording, the shoe is, I think, a week or two away from being released. So do check on that price, specifically for the US. Weight is around 225 grams, 7.9 ounces. And we have a carbon-infused plate. We have a 39 to 33 millimeter stack height, so a 6mm drop, and this just amazing, very aggressive design with these rocker shapes in the heel, this sharp cutaway here, and into the forefoot. So let's get into a bit of detail about it. I'll spin it over, and excuse me. I'll spin it over and you can see these cutaways as well. So these help keep the weight down. Let's get it right close in there. There we go. So first thing that strikes you is this very steep cutaway in the heel area. And that does really promote a more midfoot strike. If you're running a shoe without this, the traditional heel shape here, you instantly become aware of just not to land there, not to heavily strike on your heel. So you do find yourself landing in the midfoot. And that stack, although it comes in under the World Athletics rules of 40mm at 39, it does measure, at least, or my pair does, this pair, measures 50mm here. So what's gone on there? Well, World Athletics measured the stack of the shoe 12.5% from the back of the shoe, from the overall length, from the rear. So if this was to measure 100 centimetres, they'd measure 12.5 centimetres in, 12.5% from the back into here. And right there, you've got a deep cutaway right the way through. So it comes in under the rules. Hence, you benefit from lots of cushioning, up to 50mm of stack, but the shoe remains legal. It's a carbon-infused plate, so it's 30% carbon fibre and 70% nylon. The mixture of the carbon doesn't really matter. In this particular model, I think it's all about the shape of this carbon fibre plate. So it does dip down into the forefoot, but combined with how it's sandwiched in between this midsole, it does provide a steep rocker. And you can notice this rocker more so in this shoe than a lot of other shoes. I think it's the most grin-inducing shoe that I've worn since the first time I wore the Nike Next Percent. You know, when you put that shoe on for the first time and it had that very unusual spring and you were just wanting to go fast, then I've experienced this in this shoe every time I put it on. The midsole is the Mizuno Enerzy material. And to me, it feels like there's two different layers. The top layer, you can see the seam here where the pattern changes. The top layer feels to be the traditional, or the Enerzy material that they've used previously, more of a TPU type base material, whereas the bottom layer of the midsole has a slightly matte, rougher kind of finish to it, the texture of it, and that feels a little bit more like a Pebax type material as well. They're just saying it's both Mizuno Enerzy. Regardless, there is a nice spring to it, and combined with this overall geometry, which you just can't escape, that is the main factor here, it just feels great. You're landing here and you're immediately propelled forward. It just feels great. Nice sole as well. Let's get a close-up there. This material, seen it in a lot of shoes in the past, or this kind of application. I think it's like a TPU treatment. So you've got tiny little studs. It's kind of a web, so it reduces the weight a lot, but I find it gives great grip on the roads, and if it's ever wet or slippy, this kind of stuff does work well as well. I haven't been out in this in the wet, I must admit. It is a road racer, and personally, I keep shoes specifically for their intended use. So a shoe like this, I'm all about fast intervals, fast stuff on the treadmill, which I do quite a bit, and also fast 5Ks. My first run out in this was actually in what we call a park run here in the UK, and I did one that was on the promenade on the seafront on a really flat, smooth promenade surface, very nice flat tarmac, and the shoe felt great. On that kind of surface, it felt amazing. Upper, nice engineered mesh. You can't really see the detailing in it, but the way perhaps here you can see a little bit, it's kind of almost textured to allow air to come into it, so it's very breathable. Fit, true to size in terms of length, it is quite a slim fitting shoe, particularly around the midfoot, and there's bands incorporated into the laces on the lining of the material to hold it around here, so feels very snug around the foot there. It's very close fitting, it's everything you'd expect from a racing shoe. So I don't know what else there is to say. You can tell I enjoyed running in this shoe. It felt great, it felt fast, and it felt like it wanted to go faster and faster. So I just can't wait for the summer to come round and I can be fit enough to give it some of the speed that it deserves. But for me, a really great option. And certainly, I mean, I think it might take a little bit of use to get further than maybe half marathon. I'd have to do a few longer runs in it. But I'll certainly be wearing it for the next time I race 5K and 10K on the roads. So that's Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro.